My life just blew up in the most expensive and ridiculous way, and I don't even know if I'm the victim here or if I set myself up by making the dumbest financial move of my life for what I thought were the right reasons. I need perspective because my head is spinning. So, some background before this mess makes sense. I'm 29, and a few years back I hit the jackpot with some early Nvidia stock when most people thought I was out of my mind for throwing money at a graphics card company. That gamble paid off big, leaving me with a solid windfall. My fiancée, Sarah, and I have been together for 6 years and engaged for 8 months. She earns a decent salary, and despite my stock winnings, we've always split bills and expenses evenly. Now, here's where it gets complicated. Sarah is obsessed with surprises. She loves the excitement of them, even though she's terrible at keeping secrets herself. Honestly, it's usually endearing. She also has this fixation on what she calls her dream house. For the past year, nearly every weekend, she's been dragging me to open houses in this one particular neighborhood about 20 minutes from downtown. Not because we were actually looking to buy, but because she loved imagining what life in those houses would be like. There was one place she fell head over heels for. It was a 1920s craftsman that had been sitting on the market forever. The house needed everything: new wiring, updated plumbing, a full kitchen overhaul. Every time we drove past it, Sarah would slow down, point out how it had good bones, and go on about how someone with vision could make it stunning. The price started at $580,000, then dropped to $520,000, then $480,000. Sarah would joke about putting in a lowball offer, though she never meant it seriously. And this is where I might have either become the most romantic fiancé in the world or the dumbest. 3 months ago, I noticed the house had been slashed to $400,000, listed as a motivated seller. I had about $320,000 left from the Nvidia windfall sitting in my trading account and another $80,000 in savings. Instead of being sensible and talking it through with Sarah, I decided I'd pull off the ultimate surprise. I went straight to the listing agent, made a cash offer of $385,000, and to my shock they accepted immediately. The sellers were divorcing and just wanted out. 2 weeks later, the house was mine. I immediately hired a contractor who specialized in historic renovations. My plan was to finish everything by the wedding and hand Sarah the keys at the reception. I knew it was over the top crazy, but Sarah cries over those home makeover shows, and I thought this would be the grandest gesture of her life. The work was going great. We redid the wiring and plumbing, restored the hardwood floors, rebuilt the kitchen with subway tile and quartz countertops just like the one Sarah pins on Pinterest. I was sneaking over there on lunch breaks and after work, telling Sarah I was swamped with a big project. The contractor said the house would be ready 2 weeks before the wedding. It all seemed perfect. Then it all went sideways. Sarah had been hyped about her bachelorette trip to Vegas for months. She and her sister Emma, plus 3 of her college friends, were supposed to spend 4 days doing the classic Vegas stuff: shows, fancy dinners, gambling, drinking too much. She kept calling it her last hurrah before marriage, and I was genuinely happy she was taking a break from wedding stress. She left buzzing with excitement, texting me constantly the first day about their arrival, the hotel, their plans. Day 2, the messages slowed down, which I figured was normal. She was probably busy having fun. By day 3, I was getting one short text in the evening saying she was fine and would call tomorrow. And here's where I made my own mistake. I've got a buddy named Marcus who works in hotel management in Vegas. He knows everybody. I thought it would be fun to set up something special for Sarah: champagne in her room or a hard-to-get dinner reservation. I texted Marcus to see if he had any connections at the Bellagio, where Sarah said she was staying. Marcus asked for her last name to check the reservation. 20 minutes later, he called me back. There was no reservation for her at the Bellagio. He checked the other big hotels too. Nothing. I tried to rationalize, maybe one of her friends booked the room under their name, or maybe they'd switched hotels. But my gut told me something was off. So, I checked our shared credit card account. What I saw hit me like a truck. The charges weren't from Vegas restaurants or shows. They were from Phoenix. Specific places I recognized instantly because Sarah's ex, Jake, moved there 2 years ago. Jake, who she dated for 3 years before me. Jake, who she swore she had no contact with, though he still occasionally liked her Instagram posts. I sat in my car outside the renovation house, feeling like the biggest idiot alive. I called Emma, her sister, hoping she'd clear things up. Instead, the conversation got awkward fast. When I casually asked how Vegas was, she went silent and then said she thought Sarah had told me the plans had changed. When I pressed her, she admitted she hadn't gone, and as far as she knew, neither had the college friends. That night I didn't sleep. I couldn't stop replaying the last 3 months, me sneaking off to pour every dollar and every ounce of energy into this dream house, planning the surprise of a lifetime, while Sarah was apparently sneaking off with her ex. She came home the next night glowing, bubbling with fake stories about Vegas, and I just sat there, trying not to fall apart. When Sarah got back, she dove straight into her stories. She went on about the shows she supposedly saw, the restaurants she tried, even scrolled through her phone to show me snapshots of her and her friends at all these Vegas landmarks. On the surface, it looked convincing. But I already knew the truth. At least some of those photos had to be recycled or staged, because the credit card charges didn't lie. They showed she had been in Arizona, not Nevada. I didn't call her out that night. Maybe that makes me weak, but I needed time to process. Instead, I buried myself in the house project. I kept walking through each room as the contractor put the final touches in place, new countertops gleaming under the kitchen lights, a fully renovated bathroom sparkling, and freshly refinished floors that looked like they belonged in a magazine. It was everything Sarah used to say she wanted, standing right there in front of me. Meanwhile, she just kept layering on the lies. Every day she'd spin another story about Vegas, the hotel suite, the blackjack win, the big show they went to. All of it sounded rehearsed, and I sat there nodding, knowing in my gut it wasn't real. I kept waiting for her to crack, to slip and admit something like, "Actually, I went to Phoenix," but that confession never came. A week later, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I sat her down and said we needed to talk. I had screenshots of the credit card statements ready. When I asked about the charges, she panicked. First, she blamed it on fraud, saying maybe someone had stolen her card details. But I pointed out the charges weren't random, they looked exactly like dinner tabs and entertainment costs, and the bank hadn't flagged anything suspicious. That's when she broke. She finally admitted she'd gone to Phoenix, not Vegas. And not just to Phoenix, she went to see Jake. She confessed he'd been messaging her for months, telling her he regretted breaking up, begging her to give him another chance. She said the Vegas story was a cover-up because she knew I'd never be okay with her visiting an ex. Then came the part that made me feel sick. She swore nothing physical had happened. She said it was just about closure, that after spending time with him she realized she wanted me, not him. I just sat there listening, stunned. She had lied to me for months, dragged her sister and friends into a fake alibi, and spent 4 days with her ex while I was pouring my energy and savings into creating her dream home. In that moment, I felt like the biggest fool alive. But what crushed me most wasn't even Jake, it was the lying. Looking me dead in the eye day after day and feeding me story after story, never flinching. That's what broke me. I told her I needed space, packed my things, and moved into the new house that very night. For the last 3 days, I've been camping on an air mattress in what should have been our master bedroom, eating takeout off the kitchen counters I picked out with her in mind. The wedding is 6 weeks away. I've already canceled the venue and the catering, but I haven't told anyone else yet. Sarah keeps blowing up my phone, begging to talk, begging to see the house, swearing again that nothing happened with Jake and that she still wants to marry me. And here I am, pacing through these gorgeous rooms I designed for the two of us, wondering if I'm throwing away something that could still be good or if I'm finally standing up for myself after being played like a fool. Am I the bad guy for walking away from my fiancé over this? Update 1, it's been about 10 days since I posted, and I've read every single comment. Honestly, it felt like having a few thousand therapists chime in at once, helpful, but overwhelming. Most of you agreed I had every right to be furious about Sarah's lies. But a lot of you also pointed out the other elephant in the room, me secretly buying a house without telling her. Fair point. Hiding something that huge isn't exactly healthy either. When I look at it now, I can see how both of us were sitting on secrets, and that's not the kind of foundation you build a marriage on. Plenty of people asked for more details about the renovation, so here's the update. The contractor finished everything just a few days after my first post. And honestly, the place looks incredible. Walking through it feels like stepping into one of those glossy design spreads Sarah used to tear out of magazines. The kitchen has crisp white subway tiles with dark grout, marble-look quartz counters, and a huge island with room for stools. The master bath has a clawfoot tub I hunted down at an architectural salvage shop, and a rainfall shower that feels like a spa. Living in this house alone is surreal. It was supposed to be for us, and now it's just me, rattling around in it. But after reading everyone's advice, I realized I can't avoid this forever. I need to sit down with Sarah for a real, honest conversation. A lot of you pointed out my choices were pretty extreme too, and maybe it's time we both admit how badly we failed at communicating. Ever since I left, Sarah's been blowing up my phone text after text, every single day. Apologies. Please. Promises. Begging me not to give up on the wedding. For a while I ignored her, but eventually I caved and told her to come see the house. My thinking was simple: if we were going to have the hard talk, it might as well be in the place that has basically become the symbol of everything we're dealing with. She showed up 2 days after the contractor wrapped things up. I swear I've never watched someone's face shift through so many emotions in such a short span of time. When I opened the door and she saw the entryway, with the old 1920s light fixture I'd had rewired, her eyes went wide and she gasped. Then I walked her into the kitchen, and the second she saw the subway tile and quartz countertops, the exact combination she'd pinned over and over again, she just lost it and started crying. You can probably picture it. She was floored. But eventually, we had to stop talking about the house and start talking about us. That's where things got messy. Sarah kept circling back to how unbelievable the place was, how she couldn't believe I'd done all of this for her, how guilty she felt that her mistake had wrecked everything. Meanwhile, I kept steering us back to the lying, the weeks of fake Vegas stories, the level of deception it took to pull that off. Because this wasn't a single bad choice, this was a whole cover-up. That's when she gave me pieces of the story I hadn't known. Her history with Jake was darker than I realized. He'd cheated on her with a coworker, and instead of owning it, he convinced her it was somehow her fault, that she wasn't adventurous enough, that she didn't support him enough. She told me she stayed with him for months even after finding out, stuck in his manipulation, and it took therapy to finally get free of him. So when he started texting her again earlier this year, he leaned on the same tricks. He told her she was the only one who really got him, that he'd changed, that she was too good for the guy she was with now. She admitted she knew it was manipulative, but deep down she felt like she had to face him one last time, prove to herself she wasn't the same girl who used to fall for his garbage. I asked her why she couldn't just be honest with me about it. And her answer cut me. She said she was afraid I'd forbid her from going, and then she'd feel controlled. Or that I'd insist on tagging along, which would ruin the whole point of closure. So she decided to lie, figured if she could just take the trip, see Jake, and come back sure of herself, then no harm done. Except that's not how it went. She told me Jake spent all 4 days trying to win her back, begging her to move to Phoenix, swearing he'd broken up with his girlfriend just for this. According to her, she realized almost immediately he hadn't changed at all. She swore she had no interest in being with him again, but she still stuck out the trip because she felt like she had to see it through to the end. Hearing all that left me twisted up inside. On one hand, it explains why she thought she couldn't tell me. On the other, she still lied for months, dragged her sister and friends into the charade, and forced me to discover the truth through a credit card statement. That betrayal doesn't just disappear. She brought up couples therapy, said she wants us to go, to work through this, to rebuild trust. She even suggested we push the wedding back and move into the house together in the meantime. And here's where I feel trapped. Living in this house alone is starting to break me down. Every inch of it was built with her in mind. The kitchen layout matches the way she cooks. The bedroom windows were placed so the morning light would hit her side of the bed. Everywhere I turn, I'm staring at decisions I made for us while trying to decide if us even exists anymore. It's like living in a shrine to a relationship I'm not sure I can save. At the same time, I can't ignore the truth, both of us were keeping massive secrets. I didn't tell her about the house because I was terrified she'd think it was too much, too fast, too expensive. She didn't tell me about Jake because she was terrified I'd shut it down. Both of us lied, thinking we were protecting the other person, and all we really did was blow up our future. Some people have told me I should sell the house and get a clean start. But the realtor warned me that selling right after a renovation means losing money on fees, no matter how much value I've added. Plus, I can't deny it, I love this house, even if it feels empty. Other people have told me to stay, hold on to it, and eventually find someone new to share it with. That idea is both comforting and terrifying at the same time. The thought of dating again while living in a house I literally designed around Sarah feels wrong. Honestly, it feels unfair to whoever would come next. And since a lot of you asked about Jake, yeah, he's still in the picture, at least from his side. Sarah told me he didn't handle her rejection well. He's been spamming her with texts, begging her to change her mind, telling her she's throwing her life away. She showed me a few, and they were manipulative, disgusting even. She says she blocked his number, but apparently he's been trying to go through their old friends now, hoping they'll convince her to talk to him. So that's where I stand. Sarah wants couples therapy. She wants to move into the house. I'm sitting here in this gorgeous place alone. The wedding date is creeping closer, even though the venue and catering are gone, and I still haven't figured out how to explain all of this to our families. Do I give therapy a shot and see if the trust can be rebuilt? Or do I finally admit this is over and start figuring out a life without her? For those curious about the money, financially, I'm fine. The house is valued at around $480,000 now. So I'm not upside down on the investment. But the financial side doesn't touch the emotional wreckage. I spent months secretly building the biggest surprise of my life for someone who was lying to me at the same time. That's a hard pill to swallow. Thanks for listening, Reddit. I didn't expect things to spiral like this, and your advice has been more grounding than you probably realize. Update 2. It's been about 3 weeks since my last update, and I honestly can't tell if things are improving or if I'm just getting deeper into the mess. After reading your comments, I agreed to give therapy a try before making any final decisions. So Sarah and I have been in counseling, 4 sessions together, plus a few one-on-ones. Here's the ugly truth I've learned about myself: I use big gestures to avoid hard conversations. The house wasn't just me wanting to blow Sarah away with a surprise. It was me dodging the talk about whether we were even ready to buy property, how we'd handle money together, what our long-term goals looked like. My therapist didn't sugarcoat it. She said I spent more energy debating tile patterns than I did talking about what our future should actually be. And she's right. Sarah's been unpacking her side too. What came out is that it wasn't just about Jake or closure. She's been wrestling with the fact that she's lost parts of herself in this relationship. She admitted she became the version of herself she thought I wanted, instead of the version she actually is. Going to see Jake, as messed up as it was partly about proving she could still make her own choices, even the bad ones, without my permission or input. All of that sounds deep and self-aware, but here's the problem: I still don't trust her. Every time she tells me something about her day, I wonder if there's a hidden part I'm not hearing. Every time she says she's going somewhere, my brain automatically double-checks the story. I hate that I do this, but I can't stop. The therapist says it's normal after betrayal, that rebuilding takes time, but she's also been blunt: sometimes the damage is too deep, and couples just don't recover. She told us to think hard about whether we're doing the work because we actually want the relationship, or because we're both afraid of the pain that comes with ending it. Meanwhile, my relationship with the house has changed too. I've been living here on my own for over a month now, and it's no longer just our house. It's become mine. I've built routines, claimed corners, figured out my favorite spots to read, to work, to just breathe. When Sarah comes over for therapy assignments, it doesn't feel like my fiancé visiting, it feels like I'm hosting a guest. And the strangest part? I love it. At first, every decision I made in this house was about her. But now I'm starting to see I also designed it for the version of me I wanted to grow into. Living here has pushed me closer to that person, and I'm not sure I want to give that up. Sarah keeps pushing to move in, saying it's the only way we can really heal. But I keep dodging, finding reasons to hold off. Our therapist finally called me out, said I seem more invested in keeping my independence than in repairing the relationship. And she's probably right. And then there's the awkward part: the wedding fallout. Invitations went out to 150 people before everything blew up. I thought canceling the venue and catering quickly was the responsible move, but I didn't think about how we'd explain it to everyone. 2 weeks ago, Sarah's parents called asking for wedding details, and I had to tell them it was postponed. They were confused, worried, and I fed them a watered-down version about working through communication issues. My parents, on the other hand, got the full story. I needed to vent. My mom said she was proud of me for buying the house but thought Sarah and I were both idiots for keeping huge secrets. My dad, being my dad, just asked if I needed help with anything. Sweet, but also a reminder they probably think I've gone completely off the rails. Friends have been their own minefield. Emma, Sarah's sister and maid of honor, keeps checking in, asking if she can do anything to help patch things up. My best man keeps inviting me out, clearly fishing for answers without wanting to outright pry. And I feel like I'm letting everyone down because I don't have a clean answer, not for them, not for myself. So here's where I'm at: Reddit. For those of you who've gone through betrayal or tried to rebuild after trust was broken, how do you actually know if you're fighting for something worth saving, or if you're just scared of letting it die?